Chosen one, do not scroll. Stop, right where you are. This voice found you on purpose, and the timing of it was not left to chance. You held your tongue when something in you wanted to snap. You sat still in a moment that was pulling at every nerve you have. You chose patience when frustration was standing right there, offering itself to you, easy and free. And you think nobody saw it. Heaven saw it. The exact second you chose restraint over reaction, something moved above you. A record was made. A door that had been sealed was unlatched. And what I am about to tell you is the reason you stopped scrolling at this precise moment in your life. Because the reward for that quiet choice has already been released, and you need to know what to watch for. Do not look away. Not yet. Because there is a detail about what your patience triggered that you will not hear anywhere else, and I will get to it. But you have to stay with me. Chosen one, before I go one word further, comment 777 below. Not as a ritual, not as superstition. Do it because 777 is the number of completion, resting on completion, resting on completion, and when you type it, you are agreeing out loud that the waiting season you just endured is finished, and heaven honors agreement. The moment you speak agreement over a promise, you stop hoping for it and start receiving it. So comment 777 and let that be your signature on what is already yours. Now let me tell you what actually happened. You believe patience is passive. You believe patience is what happens when you have no other option. That is the lie the world taught you, and it is backwards. Patience is not the absence of power. Patience is power under restraint. Anyone can react. Reaction costs nothing. It is the cheapest currency there is. But to stand in a moment that is squeezing you, to feel the heat rise in your chest, and to choose stillness anyway, that is strength most people will never develop in a lifetime. That is a warrior's discipline. That is a soldier holding formation while the ground shakes. And I want you to hear this clearly. You did not stumble onto this message. Not today. Not at this hour. You were rooted here. Every delay that annoyed you this week, every red light, every unanswered message, every plan that fell through, those were not obstacles. Those were turns in the road that brought you to this exact second, listening to these exact words. There are no accidents in the life of a chosen one. Only appointments you did not know you had. Now, the thing you chose, patience, is not a personality trait. It is not luck. It is not temperament. In the record of heaven, it is called a fruit of the Spirit, and it is listed alongside love, joy, and peace. It grows only in one place. It grows in soil that has been pressed. Nobody develops patience in comfort. Nobody develops it in ease. It only grows where there is resistance. And that is why what you did this week was so significant. You produced fruit in a hard season. Do you understand how rare that is? Most abandon the tree before the fruit forms. They quit at the exact moment the growth is happening underground, invisible, unglamorous, unrewarded. But you stayed. You held. You waited when waiting felt like losing. And I need to tell you what happened above you in that moment. But first, I want you to understand who else stood exactly where you stood. Consider the man called Job. He lost everything a man can lose. His wealth, his health, his children, his reputation, his comfort. And the counsel that came from the people closest to him was simple. React, curse, quit, blame heaven and be done. He did not. He sat in ashes, scraped his own skin, and said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." That was not weakness. That was not resignation. That was the loudest declaration of faith ever made by a human being, and it was made in a whisper from the ground with no audience. And what happened at the end of that account? Everything he lost was restored, not returned. Restored and doubled. Twice the livestock, twice the wealth, a longer life, a fuller house. Understand the principle, because it applies to you tonight. Heaven does not pay back what patience costs you. Heaven pays back double. You have been calculating your losses. You have been counting what the waiting took from you. Stop counting. You are using the wrong math. The ledger you are reading is not the ledger I am keeping. And that is why you are here. Not by coincidence, not by the algorithm. You were brought. If this is landing on you, if something in your chest just tightened, if your eyes went warm, if you felt a sudden stillness settle over the room, take 1 second and hit like, and subscribe if you have not yet. not for me. Because every time you do, this message reaches another person who is one moment away from quitting on a promise that was about to break open. Your click becomes someone else's lifeline. Then come right back, because what I am about to explain about the instant you chose patience is the part most people never learn. Here is what happened. There is a moment, and it is a real moment, measurable, precise, when a soul stands at the fork. On one side, impulse. On the other, restraint. Most people never even notice the fork exists. They react before they know they had a choice. You noticed. And in the fraction of a second where you chose the harder road, messengers moved, not metaphorically, not poetically. Attention shifted toward you. What you did in silence, with no witness, with no reward, with nobody clapping. That is the exact kind of act heaven watches for, because it cannot be faked. Public goodness can be performed. Private restraint cannot. When you are kind in front of people, it could be character or it could be theater. But when you swallow your anger in an empty room, when you keep your word to someone who will never know you kept it, when you stay calm in traffic when no one is judging you, that reveals what you actually are. And what you actually are, chosen one, is someone who can be trusted with more. Now hold that thought, because there is something about the timing of your reward that I have not told you yet, and it will change how you read the next 7 days of your life. But first, you need to understand why patience is the gate. Every promise has a container. The promise itself is not the hard part. The container is. If what has been prepared for you arrives before you are able to hold it, it does not bless you, it breaks you. This is why the lottery destroys people. This is why sudden fame ruins the unprepared. This is why a door that opens too early can end a life instead of elevating it. So patience is not punishment. Patience is construction. Every day you held steady, the container got stronger. Every hour you did not force the door, the walls of your capacity got thicker. You were not being denied. You were being built. Think of Joseph, sold by his own family, falsely accused, forgotten in a prison cell by a man who promised to remember him. 2 more full years passed after that promise was broken. 2 years of nothing. And then, in a single morning, he went from a cell to standing second in command over an entire nation. Notice the shape of it. Years of silence. Then one day. That is not slow, and then fast. That is preparation, and then release. The years were not wasted time before the promotion. The years were the promotion, being assembled in the dark where he could not see it. The prison was the training ground for the palace. And chosen one, the difficult stretch you just walked through was not a detour from your destiny. It was the last piece of the foundation, and it is finished now. Do you feel how the air around this message has changed? That is not emotion. That is recognition. Something in you already knew this before I said it. You have felt it for days. That odd, quiet sense that something is turning. You dismissed it. You told yourself not to hope again. Hope again. Because I did not bring you here to prepare you for more waiting. I brought you here to prepare you for arrival. Now, listen very closely, because this is the part I have been holding back. The reward for patience almost never arrives the way people expect. They expect a headline, a dramatic phone call, a number in an account, and sometimes it comes that way. But most often, the first sign of a patience reward is something much quieter, and if you do not know what to look for, you will walk straight past your own miracle. The first sign is peace that does not match your circumstances. You will wake up one morning and the weight will simply be gone. Nothing on paper will have changed. The bill will still exist. The situation will still be unresolved, but the dread will have lifted, and you will not be able to explain why. That is not your mood improving. That is the announcement. Peace arrives before provision, the way light arrives before the sun clears the horizon. When that unexplainable calm settles on you, do not question it. Receive it. It means the thing you have been waiting on has already been signed and is now in transit. The second sign is alignment in the small things. Doors that used to stick will open smoothly. You will call someone and they will say, "I was just about to call you." You will arrive somewhere late and discover that late was exactly on time. You will lose an opportunity and within days understand that losing it saved you. That is what a shift feels like from the inside. Not thunder, precision. And the third sign, This is the one to watch for most closely. Is that someone from your past or someone you have never met will suddenly appear with something you need. Information, an introduction, an offer, a word. Heaven often delivers rewards through people, and the messenger rarely knows they are carrying anything. So do not despise small contacts this month. Do not ignore unexpected messages. Do not brush past the conversation that seems random. Your patience opened a door, and doors are walked through by people. Now let me say something to the part of you that is still afraid to believe this. You have been disappointed before. I know. You built hope up once and it collapsed, and you promised yourself you would never be that naive again. So you have been holding this message at arm's length, admiring it, refusing to let it inside. Let it inside. The reason your previous hope collapsed is not that the promise was false. It is that the timing was not complete. You were reaching for fruit in a season when the tree was still root building. That was not rejection. That was protection. And you are not in that season anymore. Every single thing you have walked through, the delay, the silence, the unanswered prayer, the long stretch where it seemed nobody was listening, all of it was recorded, all of it was counted, and none of it was wasted. Not one tear, not one sleepless night, not one moment of holding yourself together when you wanted to fall apart. You were never ignored. You were being watched with more attention than you can imagine. There was a woman named Hannah who wept in a temple until the priest thought she was drunk. She wanted one thing. She had waited years for it. She did not curse. She did not abandon her faith. She poured herself out in silence, moving her lips with no sound coming out. And it was that silent prayer, the one nobody else could hear, that was answered. Understand what that means. Heaven's hearing is not tuned to volume. It is tuned to sincerity. The prayer you never said out loud, the one you were too tired or too embarrassed or too heartbroken to speak, that one was heard most clearly of all. You know exactly which prayer I am referring to. And here is the truth that should stop your breath for a second. You were not brought to this video to be told to keep waiting. You were brought here to be told that the waiting produced something, and the something is already released. That is why the last few days have felt strange. That is why you could not settle. That is why you have been unusually aware, unusually restless, catching things out of the corner of your eye. You are not losing your grip. You are picking up on movement. The shift already happened. You are living in the days right after it. Now I want you to make one adjustment, because it matters more than you know. Guard your mouth in this window. You are close, and the closer you get, the more the pressure will try to pull a reaction out of you. Something small will go wrong. Someone will test your temper. A minor delay will feel enormous. Recognize it for what it is. Not an attack on your peace, but a final measurement of your capacity. Do not spend in one careless moment what you spent months earning. Hold your posture. Stay steady one more stretch. You have already proven you can do it, and you will not be tested beyond what you have already carried. The one who waits and holds steady inherits the promise, not the one who runs fastest, the one who does not let go. Let me summarize what you must carry out of this moment, because I want it fixed in you. Your patience was not weakness. It was strength under discipline, and it is the rarest thing a human being can offer. Your delay was not denial. It was construction, building the capacity to hold what is coming without being broken by it. Your silence was not invisibility. The private choice you made with no witness is precisely the choice that carries the most weight, because it could not have been performed. And your reward is not a maybe. It is already released. Watch for the peace that does not match your circumstances. Watch for the small alignments. Watch for the person who arrives carrying something they do not know they are carrying. You held on when letting go would have been easier, and no one would have blamed you. That single decision is the reason this message reached you today, at this hour, in this room, with the light exactly as it is. You were selected. You were rooted. You were brought here. Now here is what I ask of you before you go. Do not close this and return to how you were thinking an hour ago. Carry this. Speak it over yourself when the pressure returns. And if you have not yet, comment 777. Put your agreement on the record, because agreement is how a promise moves from heaven's ledger into your hands. Then hit like and subscribe so the next message finds you. Because there is more coming, and the next word is not a repeat of this one. What I have told you today is what your patience earned. What I will tell you next is what to do in the first 72 hours after it arrives. And that part matters, because more people lose a blessing in the handling of it than in the waiting for it. And if this message reached something in you that nothing else has been able to reach, you can support these videos by leaving a tip at the link in the pinned comment. Not a donation, a tip. A thank you for a word that arrived on the exact day you needed it. Every tip keeps these messages going out to the ones still holding on in the dark, waiting for someone to tell them their patience was seen. Chosen one, hear this last thing and hold it. You stayed patient when it was hard. Heaven shifted. And what is coming toward you now is not compensation for what you lost. It is a reward for who you became while you waited. Stay watchful. It has already begun.